Hello friends, my name is RagePanda1 and I am here with my top 5 ways that we can improve this game. Now I think Goat Games has been doing a great job of trying to improve the game so far, and while they're in that mindset, maybe they'll catch this video and catch a couple of things I'm throwing out there and maybe we'll get some changes made. Starting off with something that's, a little bit small, and that's allowing us to reset our Guardian Stone. And I even have suggestions on how this can happen. For one, I think it's good that it's a commitment, and I think that people should recognize that it's good that it's a commitment. You don't want to be able to change it every 2 seconds because then it doesn't mean anything and you can just switch it between every battle. I think that it should be on a 1 month or every 2 weeks you get a free reset. If you want to reset it more than that, you can, but it's going to cost an increasing amount of diamonds. This is a trope that's been involved in these sorts of games for many years, and it's worked well over the course of a lot of different games. I would suggest that if you're going for a monthly basis and you need to reset it once again in the middle of the month, it should be 200 diamonds. That's not that much. You can usually get that just from your daily login rewards based on the level that your account is at. I don't think that's going to be crushing anybody's hopes and dreams, and if you need to reset, you probably just will. I think that would be a great change, and I think it would make a lot of people happy. So that's number 1. I think that would be a super easy change. I don't think it would take them that long to code it. It would take them much longer to decide to actually do it. Number 2, I consider interrogation to be a problem with the game. I don't know about you, but this system is not fun, and I don't look forward to doing it, and every time that my dungeon is full, I am just hating life. I can even use BlueStacks macros to clear this, and I don't want to spend the time to do it. I think that they could make a lot of people happy by introducing a consumable item that clears out interrogations. I think that there could be a rare version of it where it just clears out one champion from the dungeon, they instantly become recruited, you get all the diamonds, it's a great thing, and you're happy. They could also do a mythic version of that item that's extremely rare that would just clear out your entire dungeon instead of just one champion at a time, and that would be a reward that you would get from winning challenges, for instance, maybe being in the top 10 or top 20 of cross-server challenges. And the base version of that clears out one, that could be something that they put in those weekly claims that they have now added into the game. If we go to our Grand Bazaar, we have our daily packs that we get to claim, and we have our weekly packs that we get to claim. I think in this weekly pack, as good as the pack is, if they gave us, 3 items that let us clear out somebody from our interrogations, we'd be pretty happy about it. And there's a lot of places, a bunch of spinners and catacomb crawls and all sorts of places you could get those from, and every time you got one, I think you'd be happy that you got it. Now, of course, they could also make it available to purchase. That doesn't increase your power at all, but it does save you time, and I bet some people would purchase them, so it could even help support the game, and it would make a lot of people happy. I think that would be a really good change. My last 3 changes on this list are going to be kind of far-fetched, maybe, because there's a lot of coding involved and there's a lot of artwork they might have to do, and it's just a bigger process. But I honestly believe that if they made these 3 changes, that they would make this game one of the top games in the genre. I don't know if you're going to beat Raid Shadow Legends, that's a tall order, but I do think that getting up into the number 2 slot would be fairly reasonable if these changes alone were made. Number 1, when we go to do our marriages, it is a nightmare, and it's also a huge selling point of the game. So when I'm going to choose my spouse, sure, I can click on the traits and I can sort of see what traits are. If I know that this one's fierce because fierce only has one icon. I know when I'm seeing focused because it only has one icon. But when I'm looking for brutal or energetic, I gotta click into here and see if it's the right one. And then when it's not the right one, I gotta click on my champion and go select a different person. Similarly, when I'm going in and selecting a different person, a lot of times I'm specifically going for commons, and then I'm trying to match a trait so that I can marry it off onto somebody else. I don't mind that complication with marriage. I think it's worth the extra work. But what's really annoying is when I'm clicking in, maybe I want to match noble or confident, and I click on this person. Oh, I actually wanted noble. That's annoying. Now I have to click here again. I have to click onto common again. I have to click to traits again. I have to scroll down to the person that I was looking at again. I shouldn't have to do any of that. It should bring me exactly back to where I was looking at when I clicked on the person. On top of that, these search features are not bueno. There's nothing I can type in to search for. If I could just type in brutal and see everybody on my account that had brutal, then that would be great. And then I could sort them by level perhaps, or sort them by class, whatever I want to try to do. For those of you that don't know, class actually matters in Marriage for Vigor. It changes how much vigor you get based on the base stats of the characters that you are marrying. The amount of vigor that you get for each champion when you do a marriage depends on what rarity the character is, including going up to level 22 traits, and it also depends on the class that you are marrying to. Generally, the rule of thumb is to marry the same class to the same class, although that's not always the case. There are charts available, and that chart will be available on RagePanda1.com shortly. So we need search features that we can type in. We need more than just being able to search by mythic, common, whatever. We need to be able to search by stars, by level, by class, everything. It should all be there and very, very easy for us to do. And if we, for some reason, have to come back into the screen, it should take us directly back to the screen we were looking at when we clicked on some random champion to attempt to marry them. Those are pretty simple features to actually do, but it's a lot of work to do it. It's not hard to do it, but it's a lot of work to do it. So I'm not sure that it's coming just yet. I have not heard if they're working on that, but I know that they're aware that we're not happy with the current situation. I would say their priorities have been in order. They're fixing other things that are more important right now. But that change would go a long way to increasing the enjoyment for a lot of people in the game. Similarly, one of the biggest problems that we have in the game is the Vigor issue. Now, they canceled the Vigor system when nobody wanted them to do that. People were abusing the Vigor system so that their Vigor levels said level 100, and they were getting way more stats than that. The people who got punished was everybody who didn't try to do that. Now, not everybody with high Vigor was cheating, but everybody who didn't use the Vigor farm is left way behind. Now, instead of needing a few hundred marriages to get yourself a crazy high Vigor number, you actually need more like 1600 at a bare minimum to reach level 100 Vigor. That is insufficient. It does not work, and what it leads to is the situations like where I am. A lot of people in my situation would be pushing to get 13, 14, 15 stars, and I don't want to pat myself on the back here, but I think wisely I am avoiding doing that. Why? Because if I start doing that, then I'm going to be put in Valley of Conquerors and Guild Conquest against people who have 100 Vigor and have 70 Vigor and 50 Vigor, and everybody on their team has a huge amount of Vigor, and they are considerably higher than I am. There's a lot of people that spend a lot more money than I do, and there was a lot of people that got to that Vigor farm and abused the heck out of it before it got turned off. And my solution is, for now, don't raise your stars so you don't have to fight those people. It's gonna be a nightmare and you're not gonna have fun. See people complaining about it all the time. I think 12 and 13 stars is fine. It's fun, and my PvP is actually reasonable. So that's why I stay where I'm at for that. To fix that problem though, we need another Vigor farm. And the main issue with the previous Vigor farm is that when you had a companion, it was best to keep one or two of them commons, especially the 1 stars. Now, most people don't have that anymore. My Griffin is mythic, my Trevain is mythic, my Sallyhorn has just randomly been rare. He was rare before the Vigor farm was even turned off and before it even really became a thing, just from using favorability tokens. I didn't know I might need to save a common. That means that that original Vigor farm is not possible on my current account. And it also means it's not possible on a lot of people's accounts. So the old Vigor farm, while it worked and it was nice, I don't think it's the answer. I think we need a whole new answer. And I think that that answer is what I call the sacrificial pit. One of the problems with farming Vigor is that you have to do, like I said, up to 1600 marriages or more to get to your level 100 Vigor. Do you want to sit there and click through that with a marriage system that is not fun and not searchable and really a rough time? You probably don't. My plan for the sacrificial pit is that it'll be a new clickable area that you will click into. It might look something like one of these other ones, like a royal hall. And on one side, you're going to pick your person that you want to have a ton of Vigor on, and you're going to put them in here. Now, on the other side, you're not going to have just one slot. It's going to be between 10 and 20 slots. What you're going to do with these slots is, in my imagination of the best scenario, I think that you would be putting in specifically 3-star mythics. And I think that specifically a 3-star mythic should be worth 1 entire Vigor level. If you have to put 100 3-star mythic characters to get max Vigor, that is a significant investment. It doesn't need to be harder than that. Yes, I feel bad for the people who have spent more than that, and they might be mad that they spent way more and now it's cheaper. I think it's fair that the system is allowed to be changed and they shouldn't be that mad that they had to spend way more. I can understand the feeling, so I think 100 mythic 3 stars should just give you 100 Vigor. If anybody doesn't think that's big enough investment, tell me down below. Maybe I'm wrong. The other option is we could just have a multiplier where you could use 1, 2, or 3-star mythics. No traits are transferred here, they're just being sacrificed. That's why it's called a sacrificial sacrificial pit. When you put these people in there, since there's only one reason that you're doing this, the vigor that you get from each champion is going to be at least tripled. I think that that's important because 1600 mythic champions with level 22 traits is way too much. Nobody wants that. That must be reduced. It's very important for the game that that is reduced. It is extremely vital to the success of the game that that is reduced, and I think everybody would agree with that. So, would it be too simple to just be able to plop in your dude here and search for your mythic 3 stars, which hopefully the search feature, if they go with the mythic 3 stars, would only show your mythic 3 stars as an option? You click on a bunch of them that you want to get rid of and you sacrifice them. I do think that would be too easy. I think you could farm it out way too fast and just knock it out, and then everybody you have has too high a vigor, and if you need to spend a little, you spend a little. That's why I think that we time gate this to some degree by adding in an item called a sacrificial dagger or a ceremonial dagger. This item, similar to the other ones that I've suggested, could be a reward from the weekly stuff or the monthly stuff. It could be a reward that they give you in contests and all of these spinners and all of this stuff. It could be another part of a value pack. Particularly, it could be the one for the marriage pack, except we stop calling it a marriage pack and we call it a champion improvement pack or something that sounds flashy but has that same sort of feel to it. In that pack, you might get bouquets, you might get wedding rings, and you might get sacrificial daggers. And by doing this, I think that you make it really easy to get vigor, but not so easy that everybody just has max vigor, and it actually is a bit of an accomplishment and a bit of a challenge to do. And I think that it would make the game in general a lot more fair, a lot more balanced, and you would see people actually pushing into the higher levels so that all of the higher level people aren't sitting in one single Discord knowing everybody's name and always talking to each other about every single VOC because they're always in the same one. These people are all the high spenders and the people who've been playing the most. We should keep the game fun for them as well, and they should have some fresh fights to have against balanced opponents, not just people they're going to steamroll. I think that this would help with that a whole lot. Just a whole lot. I think it would be the best idea. And if they implement it, they can feel free to call it Rage Panda's sacrificial pit. They won't do that, but hopefully they do implement it. Little bonus thought here that a lot of people likely share with me is that in Spire of Champions, we could use a little auto battle feature. I don't think that would take them very much time at all, and I think literally everybody would really love it and really enjoy it and support GOAT games even more because they took the time to do it. And honestly, there's no reason not to do it if you ask me. So my very last idea here that I think would make the game a whole heck of a lot better, since we're not getting a testing environment, I would love just a testing environment. Don't get me wrong, I think that would be great. Dungeon Descent is in a situation where if you push your campaign, you can just brick your Dungeon Descent and you miss out on a ton of great rewards, a way to play the game for an extra hour every 3 days and have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun in Dungeon Descent. I don't have a lot of fun when it's extremely difficult to do or when it's straight up impossible to do because my campaign has been pushed too far. They need to stop scaling it off of that. Well then, how should they scale it, Rage Panda 1? I'm so glad that you asked that question because I happen to have an answer for you. The way that they should scale it is that they should take the average of your levels and base the enemy levels on those, and they should also include in that equation your total might. That's going to be affected by things like your Guardian Stone, your books on your characters, your gear that's on your characters, all of that sort of thing. Do I think that that would make it too stale and predictable? No, I think predictability is a good thing in this situation because then we can use Dungeon Descent as a testing environment. We can take our exploratory compositions of champions, they might only be 4 or 5 stars, and that would be all that we needed. But wouldn't that just let people take 4 or 5 star champions and just cruise through it and get all the rewards? Yes, that would be a little bit boring as well. I think that as you increase your average levels, it should be associated to higher rewards. It would also make sense to me that it would be a little bit more difficult when you are getting into those higher levels and you have to use a little more skill and planning. Then, if you decide, I just want to get this done and have it be easy, you could use a mid-tier team and go through and crush it, and maybe you get a little less rewards, but you're happy with that because you just want to get it done. Maybe you want to test your biggest extreme powerful team and get the maximum rewards that you could possibly get. I think that this change would improve Dungeon Descent in general. It would improve campaign because you would be more willing to want to challenge it, which that's a thing I miss about the game. I love pushing campaign as hard as I possibly can and beating that one extra level just with skill and determination and going as hard as I can. But the fact of the matter is I'm losing rewards by doing that, so why would I possibly ever consider it? I'm only going to do this campaign right now when it's super easy for me and Dungeon Descent is super easy for me. Otherwise, there's no reason at all. Sure, you get a little bit better daily income on some things by doing it, but it's it's not worth it if you're losing all your dungeon descent stuff. So I think that change would be great for just everything, just giving you your opportunities that you need in every aspect of the game. Testing, dungeon descent, balance, and fun, and being able to make the campaign playable without the fear that you're bricking your account. Personally, I think all 5 of these, plus our little bonus auto battle in the Spire, are good changes that would really push this game over the edge to being not just a great game, but an actually phenomenal game that everybody truly loved. Of course, there's minor little bug fixes here and there, and sometimes there's major bug fixes. I'm not counting those because those aren't flaws with the design of the game. Those are flaws with the functionality, and that ain't what we're talking about here. So I hope that you understand that. And if you agreed with anything that I said, then maybe you'll agree with more things that I say. So you should subscribe, because then we could talk about it more, you know? If you didn't like it that much, but you still liked it, go ahead and like the video. For now, I know that was a bit of a long rant, but I think there was some good ideas in there, and I want to thank you for watching that video. I have been RagePanda1, and I will see you in the next one.